G'day guys, welcome back to another Warframe video, and hopefully these are going to be coming more frequently. As I said, I've got a few planned, and if you have anything you want to see, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Today we will be going over the basics and how I personally build my Citrine that you've been seeing me run on a lot of streams lately and things like that. But before we get into that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it. Now, first question you may be asking yourself is, who is Citrine? Citrine is the 52nd Warframe to be released to the game on the 15th of February 2023, acquired from Rotation C in the Tyrant Pass of Mirror Defense on Mars, with the max rank stats of 500 HP, 370 shields, 265 armor, 180 energy, and that is 50 to start with. Lich's and Sister's progenitor element is magnetic, and the parts can also be acquired from OTAC on the Necrolist. Now that should cover who Citrine is in general. Now let's go over some of the abilities that she has and how you might use them. First up being her passive, which will give you and all allies within affinity range health regen of 5 HP per second. That will increase by 0.1 HP per second for every health orb she picks up, capping at a total of 25 health per second regen. Next up is Fractal Blast. Slash and stagger her enemies by flinging a handful of sharpened crystals at them. The enemies affected by this for a short time will have an increased drop of orbs in general. Now her second ability is Preserving Shell. This will grant you and all allies within the range a damage reduction at about 40 to 90% depending on your strength, and that will increase with every kill and decrease with time while it is active. This will cap at 90% total damage reduction at all times, and as long as you keep kills up, this stays up. Now next in her kit is Prismatic Gem. This will spawn a crystal that will emit a beam of all base element damage, so this is just your main elements for heat, cold, toxic, and shock, to all enemies hit by you and your allies within the range of the crystal, which will be able to be seen with a little rainbow aura around the area affected. And as an added buff, you and your allies will also get a buff to your status, chance, and duration. And finally we have Crystallize. As her ult, summon a crystal fractals that rush towards enemies, paralyzing them, dealing damage, and spawning a crystal on the target. Shooting the crystal will give you 300% crit chance and damage, and subsumed ability is Fractal Blast. Now what you're all probably here for, let's face it, is the build itself. So before we get into that, let's just remember that this is a personal build. It's how I personally like to play. A lot of the things on it are personal choices. There are some aspects where the choice is up to you, and I will be giving more of a broad stroke of where to put your build than actually telling you exactly what to do. While I will show my personal build on the screen for you to be using at your leisure, it does not mean this is the build that I say you have to use, and if you find something that works better for you, this is of course something you should always try to do. Now for her first few slots, I heavily suggest trying to find something that will increase range if possible. This is why I went with Cunning Reach, Arcane Stretch, and Augur Reach. All these will increase your range out, and this is kind of her primary skill, or ability, or tribute, or whatever you want to call it, either way. Next up, you're going to want to throw at least one energy max, duration, and strength in, and use your remaining two of your remaining 3 slots to get your survivability up, and your final slot is kind of just of whatever you choose. I personally go with Recrystallize. Now this doesn't necessarily have to be the exact build you have. If you're at a lower level, of course you won't have Archon mods and Prime mods, and you can just use the standard mods to get by until you can get them, or find something that you would rather do. By that point there could be new and better builds and characters out there. Now of course Aura, I will always run Energy Siphon if I can. If not, as an alternative, there is always Dreamer's Bond that was recently gifted to most active players. If you do not have these, Energy Siphon is easily accessible through Nightwave. You just need to wait till it comes into the weekly rotation with the auras of the shop that rotates with Nightwave each week. Now next up we will be going into the Arcanes. This is a next step up in play level, so if you don't even have the mods, I suggest you probably won't be too big into hunting Arcanes yet. You might be, because It has been a while since I was at that low stage and do not actually know the order in which we complete things anymore, personally. And also I was on and off period when Arcanes were released, so I missed a lot of the initial Arcanes and then yet to get some. As you can see, my Arcane Energize itself still needs to be maxed out. I have not got around to things like that, which I will do. But that being said, Arcane Energize is definitely something you want to run on this build to keep your energy efficiency up, with some of the other choices you can run in the background being Arcane Grace, Blessing, Guardian, Pulse, Reaper, and many other Arcanes, especially with the new ones recently released with the Jade update. Now, what some of you most fickle players will be waiting to see is how I personally set up my Arcanes. Now, this is still a work in progress. I have got to get a few more Tower Forge before this is a complete build, of course, but this is the set of Arcanes that I am currently running. But yet again, I would like to reiterate that this is just a minor aspect of the game. Of course, you don't have to run exactly what I'm running, where I've got casting speed. You may think casting speed is fine. I personally like it to be a bit more quicker so that I can get straight back to gameplay after my ability casts. With the other 4 being used across strength and duration, just to boost that up, because although we can't use our range like we heavily did through our modding, we can then increase our strength and duration through the Archons down here where it's needed, if you are going to be moving on to the higher levels of where you actually need the Archon shards to boost your character's builds. If you're not going into Steel Path, Arbitration, or Netracels, you will not be running into this issue, and this build will work fine without them. Now, I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you have any suggestions on any frames you want me to do a breakdown / build video for in the future, let me know. Don't forget to like if I helped you out, subscribe if you want to see more content from me, and for those who are interested, I will leave you with a few more Citrine trivia facts. The design is seemingly inspired in-game by the Argon and Armorists, and in the real world they are inspired by Geodes and Amethysts. Now, as for Citrine itself, it is a mineral variant of quartz that is an orangey golden colour and rarely found on Earth, commonly known as the Merchant Stone, Money Stone, or Success Stone. And this can be seen on the screen here. Now, finally, for years before we go, the original project name was Stalactus, most likely due to the stalagmite and stalactites that are crystal or rock formations that form in caves around moisture. Thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.